What's up, guys? Colin, Morrison, another section of Scummy Unplugged. Today, I got the founder of SOBA Recovery and SOBA alumni, Grant Locke. I wanted to do this because we always talk about SOBA recovery, and of course, rehab is the biggest and the first step to change your life around. And this is a very good step to change your life around. And the founder, how did? Guess we'll just dive into it. How did you start SOBA Recovery? Because that's a big one, man.
Yeah, it wasn't by my design at all. I had gone to treatment in Malibu and moved there from Las Vegas, and I had a hard time figuring out what to do with myself. You know, I was boxing manager, and I had a company that ran itself, so I'd go to meetings all day long and hang at Starbucks. And
how long were you sober at this time?
When I started SOBA, I was a couple years sober.
Wow.
And we had a meeting in my garage, the Thursday night garage pizza meeting with a dude who was living in my garage and another guy living in my house on the futon, and my sponsor.
Yeah.
And so this property, kind of crummy property, a vandalized barbershop with 4 kind of crack house apartments, came for sale at the same time that my ranch in Vegas sold. And so I was actually at the ranch when it sold. This was a huge house, and I had to get rid of all of this stuff. I moved into a house in Malibu that was smaller than my bedroom at the ranch that I was in.
Quite a change.
Yeah, and I was sitting there. I did this estate sale, and all these people came in, and this weird stuff was going. It was really creepy, and I was going, you know, man, what was all this for? And you know, I was going to make $1 million off of the sale, and I go, well, you know, it couldn't be just for the money. And then my accountant called up and said, if you don't find something that you can trade, do this 1031 trade, you're going to be taxed way more than the money that you're getting on this. You're going to owe money when you sell it. So I'm going, all right, God, what was this about? And my realtor friend and sponsor, Scotty, called me up and he said, that little place just came up for sale. 4 people were in line to buy it. And if you have the money today to get it, then you should. And it was the exact same price as what I sold my ranch for. So I made a deal. To that I could take in. They were going to demolish my ranch and build houses there. And I made a deal with the buyers that I could take anything I wanted from it. So I started unscrewing the decks and the bricks and the lighting and the sinks, because I had this dilapidated, and I would bring U-Hauls back and forth and just rebuild my ranch in this place with guys that were new in recovery. I'd meet them in meetings, and they would need places to stay. And so we had this little program that was work on the ranch. And I had no money. I was all in with that money. We would work, paint, build, go to a meeting, work, paint, build, go to a meeting, barbecue. I'd go home, they'd get up, and we all stayed sober. And
on top of this, you're helping those guys big time. They're staying busy. That's rad.
Yeah, one of the guys had been in many, many rehabs and never got it. The guy on my couch at my house, and his dad came in and goes, I don't know what you're doing, but you know, this is working. So, and so everything was organic. It all started organically. The clubhouse, so we moved the Thursday meeting into the clubhouse, and it became a meeting. And now there's meetings day and night there the whole time. And we named it SOBA. It was originally going to be SOBAR. We were going to have it be a bar for sober people, and I had pinball and
I never knew so. How big SOBA is? It started from a pizza night.
Yeah.
Pizza meeting night.
Yeah, pizza. We moved my chairs from my garage over there and had our Thursday night meeting with us same 5 guys, and it grew from there. So I started. Actually, sober living at the time was $25,000.
What year was this at?
This was 13 years ago. So,
okay.
Yeah, like 2005, I guess. And so people couldn't afford, there was, at that time, it was 50 grand to go to treatment in Malibu. And if you were going to go to sober living, it was 25,000. So they had whacked me where I went. They whacked my credit card till it was out of money. And I had enough money for 2 weeks of sober living and 3 months of outpatient. So we made it a sober living, and I became a member of the coalition, and then shortly after on the board of directors of the LA Sober Living Coalition, and I started learning about this, and we had a very inexpensive price. My first year, we used to joke that I scholarshiped 300,000 people in and got paid 50,000 during that time. And we all just worked and did our thing, and then a bunch of us went to LMU University and got this kind of little degree in choice theory and addiction recovery, and I learned words like social model recovery, and I go, okay, we're a social model recovery with choice theory and addiction, and I had this kind of thing, and people would go, well, that's cool. And then I realized, I go, man, people are just making this up here.
Yeah.
You had the low glycemic plays, you had the cure plays, you had the celebrity, you had the heavy medication, and it was all, kind of, there was no really one true way that treatment was designed, and it was all marketing I had figured out. And the guys who ended up at SOBA were the guys who didn't have anywhere else to go. So I was the last stop on the bus, and I get dudes in that had been to 25 rehabs and were still bleeding, and they would get clean. We would work, we'd go to meetings, we would do steps, I was just in the program. And
it was a real recovery center. There's so many places out there where I just feel they just take your money. They're just not in it for maybe, it's just more about the money.
They hated me. The big treatment centers, guys would come over to me, and if they relapsed, which they did once in a while, I would drive them. I owned a trailer park in Hemet, and I would drive them, and we would go work at the trailer park for 3 or 4 days till they were cleaned up. And they would say, once you go to Hemet, you never want to use again.
No, I've been there, trust me.
Yeah, this was like not a nice trailer park in Hemet. It was kind of a meth addict trailer park.
For sure.
And we would just go out. We would go out and just work and paint an old trailer or do whatever, and with the flies and the treatment centers were furious. I didn't send these people back for another 50 grand or 100 grand stay. So we're the black sheep of that area. Then I realized that statistically, 2% of the people who go to a 30-day treatment are successful.
Yeah.
So I knew in Malibu there was 20 treatment centers, there was 150 people getting out of treatment every month. Half of them would move to Malibu. And so out of that, say, 100 people that moved there, 2 of them would stay sober, and 98 of them would need to go back to treatment or detox. And a lot of them, I kept seeing these kids that were school teachers would mortgage their house to send their kid to what they thought the most expensive, best $70,000 place, and 2 days out, their kid is high, and they didn't have any more money.
And a lot of people think that the more money, that's got to cure my son, my daughter.
One true. And so they were stuck, and they had no detox in Malibu for these people. So I started Detox Malibu, and I was actually the detox guy, working with, I didn't even know if we had a nurse at the time, but we got a license and it had detox, residential, and treatment.
And at this time, you were the only detox in Malibu?
Yeah, there was nobody was doing it. And half the guys were free, some of them had whatever, and we were just detoxing guys, and then they'd have a chance to get back on their feet again. So people would call with health insurance, and then I would have guys who couldn't afford, so I'd detox them, and then they'd have to go to Palmdale or go somewhere cheap. And so I found out that if you got accredited, you could take health insurance. So I was the first accredited treatment center in Malibu, which I had no idea what that meant, but apparently it was a really big deal
yeah.
to be JACO accredited. And we were able to accept health insurance, but I didn't realize that I had to wait. So now it became very expensive. You had to have therapists and doctors and all the things. And I didn't realize that you had to pay for everything waiting for a check from the insurance, which might never come.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And my next door neighbor, Ronnie, and his partner in crime, Sheila, they were retired real estate people. They found out about what I was doing. I gave Ronnie a ride to the hardware store, which I tell everybody that every good thing in my life comes from being of service. So my neighbor needed a ride to the hardware store. I'm driving and we're talking and he asked me how it's going, and I go, man, it's tough because I got to get somebody with money to afford to take a few with insurance, and I get empty beds. And he got back home and he went next door to Sheila, and then he comes over and he goes, I have $1 million for you to do this.
No way.
Yeah.
That changed it all? Is that?
Yeah, it was a game changer. You know, God rest Sheila. She passed a while ago, but they had, so I could say yes to people on the phone that just had insurance and be able to afford it. And all of a sudden it started making money. People came in, the insurance was paying good, and we were full all the time because nobody else in Malibu took insurance. I was the insurance guy there. So we had just the middle of the road people. I wanted to treat the FedEx's guy's kid who got stuck on heroin, and they had a Blue Cross policy or whatever.
That's amazing. How many years into the?
That was two years into
You guys
it.
were up and going, a full established recovery center, rehab.
Yeah, we had, and I rented an apartment. We had a couple that showed up, and they were doing pretty good, but there was no such thing as sober living. And everybody would go, you can't take a couple. And I go, why can't I take a couple?
Yeah.
You know, they should recover together. And they were a married couple that were on 9/11, and they ended up heroin addicts after the trauma of that.
Oh.
So when their kids got out of school, they weren't ready to go home. So I rented an apartment at the Villa Malibu for them, and there was this other dude who went to Sober Living Coalition training, and so we started this sober living in these Malibu apartments that turned within 2 years. We had 120 people that were staying in there.
Wow, you guys were rewriting the rule book too, doing.
Yeah, and we had a long-term program. So, you know, what I learned was that if people went straight from treatment to sober living, it was very difficult. So I got another house, and we called it a PHP house. So people would transition. We'd let the rope out, and they still do it. They go from detox and treatment. They go into, you know, a nice, beautiful house that is just day patient for, can be 20 to 30 days there, and then they graduate into, now I have apartments in Santa Monica. They go and they get jobs. So when the guy was accrediting us, I had learned what my program actually was officially, because I had just made it up. And the guy said, so the JACO guy, I go, look, we know you're not going to JACO me, but this wasn't a waste of time. I learned more from him in the days he was there. He was 30 years working in mental health. And he goes, you have, so when you're accredited, you get checked on medical, you get checked on psychological, psychiatric, social, spiritual, nutrition and fitness. I said social, which is most important, and vocational.
Wow.
So that became our program. Because if you have drug addicts that you clean up and they still have court problems and bad driver's license, they can't get back into school. So we have a case management team that helps people, you know, get back on their feet so they can reintegrate into society. And it became this community of people that was really strong. And the insurance company, or the insurance billing company, was no good, so I opened one, and we learned how to do that very successfully. And I had guys that came to get insurance billing from me that were in the same shape that I was when I was new. And so I would partner with those guys. And I partnered with some guys in at Ventura Recovery in Thousand Oaks. And then I partnered with Prominence in Malibu Hills, which was non-12-step. So I had the kind of hardcore place, the beach place. Prominence, I called it the over 40 pill mom place. And then I had partnered with guys in Hollywood. And we had
everything.
Yeah, so we would figure out where people would go, where they'd be most comfortable and fit in well with the group. Then I had produced a movie in Texas called Wisdom, and we were doing the morning show, and the Daniel Baldwin, who shamelessly promotes SOBA, we're live on TV, and he goes, yeah, and Greg's using the money for this movie for treatment in Texas. Right, Greg? And I said, yeah, that's right, and I'm on live TV. So I called my producing partner, Alex, when I got back home, and I go, send him a list of licensed places in San Antonio we could donate some money or scholarship. And he kept daily going to these places, and they were all methadone clinics owned by the guy who owned the pharmacy in town.
No way.
Yeah, there was nothing there. So Alex went out and he found a ranch, and we spent about a year getting that up and licensed, and we ended up with a TV show there, and it's one of the more successful centers that we have. We have 7 ranches in an area, and so that same thing they do in Malibu, we have the exact same program there. They start at the main ranch in detox and residential, then they go next door to the PHP ranch, and then they go to apartments that we got there. And of the people that stayed a year, so people would ask, what's your success rate? And anybody who's telling you figures that have to do with their program, they're liars. It only has to figure in, and this is from the JACO guy. I go, look, you've checked us on 20,000 things, but what is it that I can do that's really going to help people? And he said, it's all about length of time. And he goes, if they can be engaged in a community and you can figure a way to house them and have them lower their levels of treatment but stay in the mix, you're going to get the best success. And what I saw was people that would stay just for detox, it was 0. Treatment, 2% maybe, and I don't think that counted the 20 to 25-year-old heroin addicts that much. 3 months, it'd be about 25% would make it to a year. 6 months, 60% would make it to a year. And of the guys, when we had the year program that would stay for a year, we would get 90% of them would get multiple years, and it worked.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Rehab I went to, a lot of rehabs, I feel, they don't really know that. I think they just want to get you in 30 days, get you out.
Our whole setup was designed to work.
To work, not have you come back.
Yeah, we didn't have to market that much because we had successful people that their parents and friends and stuff, and the guys where I get in were not usually first-time guys. They were ones that had been to multiple places.
Did you see it was scary for people when you're telling them, long-term, for a newly guy going into rehab, that's a very huge step?
So I did the intake calls on the phone myself for all my treatment centers for years. And I was talking to parents and I was talking to young people, and I never said they had to do anything. I would say, listen, you can come in, here's what's available for you. You can stay as long as you want or as short as you want. It's up to you. But it won't work. And most of the people had already tried that. And they were looking for something that was going to, and then the opiate epidemic kicked in, and it was 9 out of 10 clients were opiate addicts. So, and they've been to many treatments, detox, this, that, and the other. And so I would tell them, I go, look, come in, just come in and get a feel for it. And what would happen is that we have alumni meetings on Thursday night, and they would start meeting these people, picking up a year chip, 2, 3, 4 year, as time has gone on, 13 years. I got guys picking 10 years. We'll go to a Thursday night meeting, and there'll be a group of people taking cakes that were all alumni. Then you have the brand new guys sitting there kind of a little tense, but they're meeting people and starting to socialize. You got the guys from the PHP house that they go over and have a meeting there to see what it looks like. And then they have the guys from Club, which is the apartments, and they got cars, and they're doing stuff. So they reintegrate kind of on their own. And what it became, this community, was it was harder for me to get people to leave than it was to get them to stay.
I was just going to say that after they see your resources, they don't want to really go.
Yeah, they don't, because we took good care of them. You know, we actually, since it wasn't designed as a company to make money, people can feel that the quality of treatment and the resources that they have at their disposal to help them get on their feet, it's real.
So
And
you have the resource from A to Z. A couple can go to SOBA.
yeah,
The
I was
biggest
the
thing
guy taking pets.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
You can bring a pet to
Yeah.
SOBA rehab. That, for me, if I could bring my little dog to rehab, I feel like for most people that would help.
I was
so
the guy on the phone. So and they were, and it was funny
amazing.
because one of the big, you know, world national places were joking at me, going, "Yeah, we're not the guys taking pets and doing it." So I'd have a guy on the phone, and the difference of life and death for him was whether he could bring his little dog.
Yeah.
So I said, "Bring your dog."
It's going to change your life.
Yeah, and I'd have 2 or 3, as long as, you know, it wasn't a big mean dog. I didn't take big, huge ones that scared people. And I had to make a rule. You have to be able to hold it in one hand, and then it can come. And yeah, it was. And the couple are now 12 years clean. You know, their family is great. I've had many people come in with, you know, their pets, and they get just that can make a difference to somebody of what they can do. There's couples that go, we can't not be together. And I said, well, you got to hide together, you got to recover together.
Yeah.
So come on in, you know. And we were breaking the, and I go, well, so who made these rules? Well, I go, is there some rule book to this? No, you're just making this up that you can't do that. And the therapist, I would go get with them a little bit, and they would go, and then they realized that everything was designed just to work. And the recovery, the true recovery center attitude has to be just get them through one more day.
Yeah.
You know, people come in and it's not designed to feel like a jail or a hospital. The detox people, when you're going through it, we know what it's going to feel like. So we give the right medications to get you through the hard part, and then we take you off them so that you can, you know, be clean and free. The design is not to, you know, change drug dealers from a
opiates to here. Now you're addicted to Suboxone or methadone.
Yeah.
And that's what I see so much. There's so many rehabs that these owners, they didn't come from addiction. I feel they're just in it for the money. You are a guy that you came from that side. You actually want it to work.
Yeah,
and that's what's amazing about SOBA. And I've never heard that whole story. It's amazing, man. Grant Locke, you are the alumni. Is this man telling the truth?
No, he
because
is.
you are many years sober right now, and I've heard amazing stories. So
yeah, no, I'm sitting here listening to the story of how this whole place was born, and it's just amazing to hear all the
crazy
and things you had to overcome in order to get to where it is now. And it's just like such a good metaphor for recovery.
How did you get into it? What was your?
I mean, I was at the end of the road. I was had exhausted my resources. My relationships were failing. You know, didn't have a lot going on in life. I had a lot of legal problems. I was ready to just make a change. I mean, my life was going to go one of 2 ways. I was either going to get a lot more trouble or die, or I was going to take one more shot at changing my life. And luckily, I had a buddy who was working at SOBA at the time, and I was calling around to all my friends and trying to find a place where I could get into. And he told me, he said, hey, I have a great place named SOBA. Come on by, we'll get you taken care of. And honestly, one of the best decisions I ever made, because I, you know, got the opportunity to, you know, get welcome there with open arms to a family of people who are all in recovery, who actually care, like Greg cares.
First couple days, was it nerve-wracking? Because, you know, I feel a lot of people watching, that's the biggest step. You know how it is. That first day in rehab, that's like, you almost sit back and think, how the fuck did I end up here? You know?
Yeah.
No, totally.
Like for me,
100%.
that's what it was. But how was it? Because a lot of these people, I hope people are watching this story and be like, dude, it wasn't that bad.
No,
It's the best decision of my life. And
I mean, I've done a lot of crazy, stupid things. adrenaline packs, just dumb shit that I should have been scared and I wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was fucked up or what, but walking up to the front door of SOBA that first day was one of the most nerve-wracking things ever, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know who was going to open the door, what the whole system was like. I was just kind of, but I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't even care. I just want a different life.
There's no other choice.
There's no other choice.
Death or this.
Exactly, and I was, was uncomfortable and whatever, but I mean, like I said, one of the best decisions easily that I've ever made.
But you have the good stuff. You got good snacks and chocolate and things and all the right channel, HBO on the TV. So you're in a house and you're in or at the main SOBA in an apartment. So it's just kind of like chill. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. I mean, he's right. I mean, there was 5-star chef. I mean, there was acupuncture, there was yoga, there was things that I've never been accustomed to that were helped make it a lot more comfortable. But at the end of the day, after you kind of the first week or two, you're kind of still, the fog's clearing. All the drugs getting your system. You're learning how to kind of function and talk and have conversations with other people who are in recovery. And as that fog lifts, you start to realize, oh shit, there's some stuff I need to work on.
Yeah.
Some internal stuff that is at the root.
But SOBA had all the tools and plus some to help you.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know how to word this. This is like one of the one things I wish I could go back, because I hear all these rad stories about SOBA. My rehab was a little kind of the opposite of that. It's like I want to experience that, but obviously I don't.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I just wish I had. I wish I knew about SOBA. And
I mean, I was really lucky. We had a really good crew there. I mean, the guys in rehab as well as the staff. So we were always telling stories, laughing, making the most of the process. I mean, nobody really wants to be in rehab, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do it, I mean, pick a place that's like home. Everyone's looking out for each other because they're all in the same boat at the end of the day. So everyone's offering advice, helping you out, helping you with the big book, helping you with whatever you need, really. Because there's someone in there. There's always someone in there who can relate to something that you have in your life, which makes it a lot easier to not feel like you're doing it alone.
How much clean time do you have?
So my sobriety date is February 29th. 2016, so I'm just over 2 years and a few months.
That's huge. How does somebody, Greg or Grant, how does somebody get to SOBA? How would you tell somebody to make that first step? You guys both know how big that is, making that step, getting your foot into that rehab. How do you tell somebody maybe watching this, how do you go about doing that?
It's a phone call.
It is.
You can call into just Google SOBA on
We'll have all the information on the article. Just that 1-800 number, pick up and...
Yeah, just pick up and give a call. Even, I think in Texas, you can text. What's the number in Texas for the text? You can... I have people text just to get the conversation started, but whoever's answering the phone are going to have patience and understanding and no judgment. And you just start a conversation. I had people calling and going, I'm not sure if I'm an addict. And I go, what's going on in your life? And they weren't. And I would go, you don't need to come here. And then I had people who were going, they were critical. My daughter has a needle stuck in her neck, overdose, and I just found her, I don't know what to do. And I would go get her to the airport and send her to me, and I'll take care of them like my own. And people are scared to make that call. If you need to call and say you're calling for your buddy, and it's you, just call and get a little information. Start the conversation. It's very easy to do, and then we'll figure out how to help you get in. And if you have insurance and resources to be able to get in, good. And if you don't, we're going to help you find out a place that you can go.
That was another step. Not a lot of drug addicts don't have that financial whatever, but you will help them. You will figure something out to get them in. So pretty much make that phone call and you guys will do the rest.
Yeah, you can be back in the game. I've watched this guy progress from, death's door to really an amazing person. Everybody deserves to have a good life. And this drugs that are out there right now are taking away that spirit, that human spirit from young people. And it's not, I say that the same thing that you're saying, the recovery doesn't happen in the therapy room. It happens on the porch with each other. And they get hope from the other guys who are ahead of them. And those guys, somebody put them under their arm and helped them walk through the rough times. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about at SOBA. It's the community, and it's become big. It's here, and you can go here. You go to Texas, Mesa, Arizona. If you're in college, we got a college recovery one that you can go to school in New Jersey. Yeah, we're all over the place.
There's another topic. Oh my God, it makes me so upset when I see all these rehabs, how they get all these patients on Suboxone or methadone.
Nope.
And I get all these people, oh, I'm clean, I'm sober, I'm doing so good, I'm on Suboxone, I got to go to methadone clinic. Dude, it's another drug.
All you did was change drug dealers.
Change drugs.
So Suboxone was not designed to be on maintenance, and the problem with that is the day that you don't have it in your hand, you go get some heroin and overdose. So they don't mention that. But Suboxone is very useful in a detox. So if somebody comes in, they have a time frame and they get some medication for sleep and anxiety and like nausea and things like that. And then right at the right time, they give some Suboxone to get you over the hump of that right before you get in withdrawal. And then we wean you down off of that. So you use it on day 2, and then you start weaning off it by the end of the week, really slowly, and by the end of the week you're clean. And that's what it true design is.
You guys
for.
are doing it correctly. I see so many
and methadone,
places.
That's the most gnarly hard detox there is of any I do is methadone. It's in your bones.
Really?
Yes, Suboxone is harder to detox off than heroin, but methadone, it makes them all look like kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched a girl detox off methadone, and I go, I don't know how you're doing that. I couldn't do it. Could not do it.
Wow.
That's
it's
amazing.
hardcore.
That's crazy how some people just, doing it for the money, get them off heroin, you're on this, now you're addicted to this. It's you guys have something so amazing, and it's so crazy to hear how one little thing turns into this, pizza party, that. Now you have a place where you are saving so many lives, and you have something for everybody, living proof right here. And I know so many other people that have changed their lives, and they're on top of the world from SOBA Recovery, man. I
want to say one more thing. I know you're wrapping up, but the accreditation that we have is for mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So it's figuring out, anybody can figure out what's going on, and most people have anxiety and depression are like 2 of the main things. Getting to the root of what's going on and working through that in combination with all of these other things, and so we treat what's the underlying cause and help people to learn how to navigate through whatever's happened in their life along with the other things. So I don't want to make it seem like it's just a big softball game you're going to. There is the top clinicians, addictionologists, case managers, master's level people that are going to help you work through your stuff.
You diagnose every separate person, because everybody has different issues, different drugs. You sculpt every individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg was saying earlier that, so like the longer you stay, the better chance you have.
Yeah.
And so for me, I couldn't wrap my head around the idea of staying in a rehab for a year initially, right? So I went in and I was like, I'm going to do 30 days, that's it. And that's all I can mentally handle at that time.
And that's what I'm saying. Don't come in. You're stuck here just come in for one day.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You just have to get yourself there and let the miracle happen. And then while you're there, you have amazing top level therapists. And in that first 30 days, I wasn't ready to start talking about all these different issues. I mean, I was talking about stuff, but it took me a little longer.
Yeah.
So 30 days turned into 60 days. 60 days turned into 6 months. 6 months turned into a year, and I was able to keep the same caseworkers and therapists the whole way through.
But about a month is when you realize, dude, I'm doing this with no drugs, and that's when the magical shit happens, and you just want to get
It's crazy. Miracle after miracle just starts happening. Your life starts getting better, and you get this momentum. You start building, you have all these friends, and you're not lonely, and you're no longer depressed and have anxiety, and it's just like you get your life back.
And that's
this
magical
new
shit.
Spark. It's just like
about sobriety,
magic,
man.
Yeah,
it is
SOBA,
magical. Starts with SOBA, man. We'll have all the phone numbers, all the info. Make the phone call. That's all you guys got to do. The rest, the magic happens from there. Sobriety's badass, living proof. Greg, you're a legend. You already know that. Saving lives, and we're out, you guys.